Hello, and welcome to Clearly English, the podcast where we help you speak English with confidence. I'm Emma.
And I'm Alex.
Today, we're talking about something that I think a lot of English learners feel, but don't always say out loud. That feeling that fluency is still very, very far away. That no matter how much you study, no matter how much you practice, you still feel like you're not there yet. Like fluency is this distant place that other people reach, but somehow stays just out of your reach. If that feeling is familiar, I want you to listen carefully to what I'm about to share with you today, because I genuinely believe that you are closer to English fluency than you think. And by the end of this episode, I hope you will believe that too. Before we get started, if you are enjoying Clearly English, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new lesson. And when you finish today, leave a comment below and tell us, what is one English thing you can do now that you couldn't do before? We want to hear your progress. Share it in the comments. It matters. So, Alex, let me ask you something honest. How do you feel about your English right now?
Honestly, a little discouraged. I know my English has improved. I can tell I understand more than I used to. But when I try to speak, I still feel slow. I still freeze sometimes. And when I listen to fluent English speakers, the gap feels really big.
And what does fluency feel like to you? When you imagine a fluent English speaker, what do you picture?
I picture someone who speaks fast, never hesitates, always has the right word, and sounds completely natural, like nothing gets in their way. And when I compare myself to that, I feel like I'm nowhere near fluency.
And I hear that. And I want you to know that what you're describing is one of the most common experiences for English learners at every level. That gap between where you are and where you want to be can feel enormous, especially when you're measuring yourself against the most fluent speakers you can find. But here's what I want to explore with you today. What if you've been measuring fluency the wrong way? What if fluency is actually much closer to where you are right now than you've been told?
That would change everything, honestly, because right now, fluency feels like this huge, distant goal.
And that's exactly what we're going to work on today, redefining what fluency actually means. And I think when we do that, you're going to feel very differently about where you are. So let's start there. What is fluency? Because I think most learners have a definition of fluency that is actually setting them up to always feel behind. Alex, how would you define fluency?
I'd probably say fluency means speaking perfectly. No mistakes, no hesitation, always knowing exactly what to say.
And that definition, while understandable, is actually not what fluency means. Not even for native speakers, because native speakers make mistakes. Native speakers hesitate. Native speakers sometimes can't find the right word. I do it. Everyone does it. And we're still considered fluent. So if fluency doesn't mean perfect, what does it mean?
I genuinely don't know. I've always thought they were the same thing.
Fluency means you can communicate your ideas clearly and effectively, even with simple words, even with some pauses, even with occasional mistakes. Fluency is about function. Can you get your message across? Can you understand and be understood? Can you participate in a conversation? That is fluency, not perfection. Communication.
So fluency is about communication, not perfection.
Yes, and when you redefine it that way, everything shifts. Because you might already be doing that. You might already be communicating in English in ways you haven't stopped to appreciate. And that's what I want to talk about next, the signs that you are closer to fluency than you think. Alex, let me ask you something. Can you understand this conversation right now?
Yes, I understand pretty much everything you're saying.
That is a sign of real progress. A year ago, 2 years ago, could you understand this?
Probably not as well as I do now. It would have felt harder.
So your comprehension has grown. That is real, measurable progress. Now, when someone asks you a simple question in English, how long does it take you to answer?
It depends. Sometimes I answer pretty quickly. Other times I need a moment to think.
And a year ago?
It probably took longer. I had to think more.
So your response time has improved. That is another sign of progress. Now, when you hear a common English phrase, do you need to translate it in your head or do you understand it directly?
A lot of common phrases I just understand now. Like I don't translate them. They just make sense.
That is one of the most significant signs of growing fluency, when language bypasses translation and goes directly to meaning. That is your brain operating in English. That is fluency developing. And Alex, do you feel as afraid to speak English as you did when you first started learning?
No, definitely not. I'm still nervous sometimes, but it's not the same kind of fear I had at the beginning.
Less fear, faster responses, direct understanding without translation, greater comprehension. These are all real signs that you are moving toward fluency. And yet, when I ask you how your English is going, you say you feel discouraged. How is that possible?
I guess I just don't notice those things. I focus on what I still can do rather than what I can do.
And that is exactly the pattern that makes learners feel stuck, even when they're actually moving forward. You are measuring your progress by looking at the gap ahead instead of looking at the ground you've already covered. And that perspective makes the journey feel endless. But if you turn around and look at how far you've walked, the picture is very different.
That's a powerful way to think about it.
And I want to help you really see that today. So let's talk about why learners miss their own progress. Because it's not just about mindset. There are specific reasons this happens. The first reason is comparison. When you compare yourself to native speakers or highly fluent speakers, you will always feel behind. Because you're comparing your middle to someone else's end, that's not a fair comparison.
So I shouldn't compare myself to native speakers.
Not as a measure of your progress, no. The only useful comparison is you now versus you 6 months ago. That's the comparison that shows real progress. The second reason learners miss their progress is that they only notice mistakes. Every time you say something wrong, it feels very loud, but every time you say something right, it feels invisible. And yet you're saying many more things right than wrong. You're just not counting them.
It's like the mistakes are in bold and everything else is invisible.
Exactly. And the third reason is that learners forget how much they struggled before. You understand things now that used to confuse you completely, but because you understand them now, they feel easy. And easy things don't feel like progress, but they are. Every word that's easy now was hard once, and that difficulty you overcame is real progress.
So even the things that feel easy are actually evidence of how much I've learned.
Yes, every easy thing was once hard. The fourth reason is that learners expect progress to feel dramatic. They want a big moment where they wake up and suddenly feel fluent. But progress doesn't usually work that way. Progress is quiet. It's gradual. One day you understand a sentence you didn't understand before. One day a phrase comes out naturally without effort. One day you realize you've been having a conversation for 5 minutes and you didn't panic once. Those quiet moments are progress, but they don't announce themselves loudly.
Progress is quiet. I really like that.
It's one of the most important things to understand about language learning. And the fifth reason learners miss their progress is that they don't track small wins. They're so focused on the big goal of fluency that they miss all the small victories happening every week. The new word they learned, the sentence they said without hesitating, the conversation they had that went better than expected. All of those are wins, and they all count.
So I should be tracking and celebrating small wins.
Yes, because small wins add up to big progress, and celebrating them keeps you motivated. Now, let's talk about some real-life examples of communication that count as progress toward fluency. Alex, have you ever ordered something in English?
Yes, at a coffee shop. I ordered my coffee in English.
That is real communication. You made yourself understood, you got what you needed. That's fluency in action. Have you ever introduced yourself in English?
Yes, many times.
Real communication. Have you ever answered the question, "How was your day?" in English?
Yes, pretty often at work actually.
Real communication. Have you ever asked someone to repeat something in English because you didn't understand?
Yes, I've said, Sorry, can you say that again quite a few times?
Real communication. That takes confidence, and it keeps the conversation going. Have you ever explained what you need at work or school in English?
Yes. Not always perfectly, but yes.
Real communication. And let me ask you this. Have you been understanding this conversation today?
Yes, almost completely.
Real communication. Alex, you have been communicating in English in multiple real situations with real results. That is not someone who is far from fluency. That is someone who is already using English to function in the world. And that is what fluency is.
When you put it that way, I actually feel quite different about where I am.
Good, because where you are is much further than you've been giving yourself credit for. Now, let's do a quick confidence check. I'm going to ask you some simple questions, and I want you to answer naturally. And everyone listening, answer out loud with us. Ready, Alex?
Ready.
What's your name?
My name is Alex.
Where are you from?
I'm from Brazil. I grew up in Sao Paulo.
How was your day?
It was pretty good, actually. Busy, but productive.
What do you like to do in your free time?
I like listening to podcasts, reading, and spending time with my family.
And why are you learning English?
I'm learning English because I want to communicate better, travel more, and grow in my career.
Alex, that was completely fluent communication. You understood every question, you answered clearly, you gave natural, real answers. You didn't freeze, you didn't panic, you just spoke.
I did, didn't I? It felt actually pretty natural.
And everyone listening, did you answer those questions out loud? If you did, you just practiced real English communication, and that is fluency in action. Now let's practice some short, simple answers that count as real communication, because I want to show you that you don't need long or complicated answers to communicate effectively. Alex, let's practice some short, natural answers. Repeat after me, and then try your own version. I'm from Brazil.
I'm from Brazil. I grew up in a big city called Sao Paulo.
I had a busy day.
I had a busy day. A lot of meetings, but I got everything done.
I'm learning English for work.
I'm learning English for work. I need it for emails and meetings with international clients.
I like watching movies.
I like watching movies, especially comedies and action films.
I'm still learning, but I'm improving.
I'm still learning, but I'm improving. Every day feels a little easier than the last.
Perfect. And everyone listening, say those phrases out loud. I'm from blank. I had a busy day. I'm learning English for blank. I like blank. I'm still learning, but I'm improving. These are short, these are simple, and they communicate real, meaningful information. That is fluency. Now I want to talk about the most important mindset shift you can make, and it's this. Stop asking yourself, am I perfect? And start asking yourself, can I communicate better than before? Because perfect is an impossible standard that will always make you feel behind. But better than before is something you can honestly measure. And almost certainly the answer is yes. You can communicate better in English than you could 6 months ago, than you could a year ago, than you could when you started. And that progress is real. It is happening, even when it feels invisible.
This is making fluency feel so much more possible. Like, it's not this impossible, distant thing. It's actually something I'm already doing in small ways every day.
You are. And the more you recognize that, the more confident you become. And the more confident you become, the more you speak. And the more you speak, the more fluent you become. It's a beautiful cycle, and you're already in it. Now let me give you a simple daily practice to keep moving forward. Because motivation is important, but practice is what actually builds fluency. And the practice is simple. Every day, do 4 small things. First, listen to clear English, a podcast, a video, a lesson, even 10 minutes. Your ear needs regular exposure to natural English. Second, repeat one useful phrase out loud, just one. Take a phrase you heard and say it out loud 3 times. Let it become familiar in your mouth. Third, answer one question out loud. Any question. How was your day? What did you do this morning? What are you looking forward to? Answer it out loud in English. And fourth, notice one small win. Just one. What did you do today in English that you're proud of? Maybe you understood a sentence you didn't expect to understand. Maybe you answered a question faster than usual. Maybe you used a new word. Notice it, celebrate it, write it down if you want. And that's it. 4 small things. Every day. That's the practice that keeps you moving forward. Alex, do you want to try one round right now?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to give you a phrase to repeat. I'm closer to fluency than I think.
I'm closer to fluency than I think.
Good. Again.
I'm closer to fluency than I think.
One more time with confidence.
I'm closer to fluency than I think.
Perfect. Now one question out loud. What is one thing you've learned in English that you're proud of?
I'm proud that I can have a natural conversation in English now. A year ago, that felt impossible. Now it feels normal.
That is a beautiful answer, and that is a real win. A real, meaningful, significant win. And one more thing, what is your small win from today?
My small win from today is that I understood this whole conversation, and I answered every question naturally.
Yes, that is your win. Hold on to that. Now let's do our listeners' speaking practice. I'm going to give you some sentence starters, and I want you, everyone listening, to complete them out loud. I can already say blank in English.
I can already say good morning, how are you, what is your name, and many more phrases in English.
Today, I understand blank in English.
Today, I understand most of this podcast. The words, the phrases, the meaning, I understand it.
One phrase I know in English is blank.
One phrase I know is, I'm trying to improve my English, and I use it and people understand me.
I am improving because blank.
I am improving because I practice every day. I listen, I repeat, I speak, and every day it gets a little easier.
Wonderful. And everyone listening, did you complete those sentences out loud? If you did, you just practiced real English. And if you didn't, go back and try again, because your voice needs to practice, and you are capable of this right now, today. Now, I want to leave you with something important before we close. You are not starting from zero. You never were. From the very first English word you ever learned, you began a journey. And every word, every phrase, every sentence, every conversation since then has been part of that journey. And you are further along that journey than you realize. The English you already have is real. It is valuable. It is enough to communicate with. And it is the foundation for everything that comes next. You don't need to wait until your English is perfect to feel like a real English speaker. You are already a real English speaker, at your level, on your journey, with your progress. And that is something to be genuinely proud of.
I feel genuinely hopeful after this conversation. Like, I've been so focused on how far I still have to go that I forgot to look at how far I've already come.
And that shift in perspective changes everything. Because when you feel hope, you practice. When you practice, you improve. When you improve, you feel more hope. And that cycle is what carries you to fluency. Not discouragement, not comparison, not chasing perfection. Just steady, hopeful, daily practice. Let's do our final affirmations. I'll say them and Alex will repeat. And everyone listening, say these out loud with us. Really mean them.
Ready.
I am closer to English fluency than I think.
I am closer to English fluency than I think.
I can communicate with simple English.
I can communicate with simple English.
My mistakes do not stop my progress.
My mistakes do not stop my progress.
I am improving every day.
I am improving every day.
I know more English than I give myself credit for.
I know more English than I give myself credit for.
Fluency is communication, not perfection.
Fluency is communication, not perfection.
I can keep going.
I can keep going.
And I will keep going.
And I will keep going.
How did that feel?
It felt true, all of it. And saying it out loud made it feel even more real.
Good. because it is true. Every single word. You are improving. You are closer than you think, and you can keep going. And I want you to remember this on the hard days, on the days when English feels impossible, on the days when you make mistakes and feel embarrassed, on the days when fluency feels far away again. Come back to this episode. Come back to these affirmations. And remember that progress is quiet, that fluency is communication, and that you are already doing both. Thank you so much for joining us today on Clearly English. If this episode gave you hope and encouragement, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new lesson. And please leave a comment below and tell us, what is one English thing you can do now that you could not do before? Share your progress with our community. We celebrate every single win, no matter how small. Remember, you are not far from fluency. You are on the way. Keep listening, keep practicing, and keep speaking every day. We believe in you, we are proud of you, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.